Hello, everyone. Welcome to Men with Beard podcast. I'm Man with Beard. I've got another man with a beard and another man with a beard. It's like we
Hey,
go
men with beards.
from paper movies and we become the Man with Beard podcast. But anyway, you all know what it is. We're back with a new season of paper movies. I'm Jeremy from Stupid Chainsaw Productions. And joining me today, we got Adam from Bryant VRM and Red 5 Reviews.
What's up,
And
guys?
hello. And Matthew from The Geeks Attic and the Tuscan Reader podcast.
Hey, howdy, folks.
And we're
Welcome back.
We're coming out with a banger here. As you all know, if you've seen our YouTube videos, you know that Rambo First Blood Part 2 was a big hit for us. So let's start this new season off with a bang with Rambo 3 by David Morrell. Now, this is yet another interesting one because David Morrell is the only person that can write a novel with the character of Rambo in it. So rather than just being brought on for the novelization for like he was for Rambo First Blood Part 2, he actually wrote a script for Rambo 3. If you listen to the audiobook, he goes on and he adds like an additional foreword and talks about that, where he wrote about Rambo in Central America, because that was a big thing in the 80s. And he was alluding to he wanted to do something with Rambo in Central America at the end of the second novelization. So in his script, Troutman is injured and Troutman's wife and daughter are kidnapped, and Rambo has to go rescue them. Well, that never came to be because Sylvester Stallone wanted Rambo in Afghanistan. And so David Morrell was not told anything, and then was given a script and another script and another script and another script. And then finally he's like, I can't keep up with these. Let me write something based on the first draft of this script. So you get elements from his Central America script, and you get elements from other Rambo 3 scripts, which they referred to Rambo 3 as Rambo of Arabia. It was a huge deal at the time because it was so over budget and it didn't make its budget back. Big flop because the Russians left Afghanistan. But anyway, this also is an interesting book because it brings up Islam, because David Morrell's son had bone cancer at the time of writing this, and it was about his destiny was. So anyway, Rambo 3 is about Rambo in Thailand. He's just been there for about a year since the incident in Vietnam, again in Rambo First Blood Part 2. He lives in a monastery. He's trying to find peace with himself, but he's drawn to this Filipino stick fighting eskrima fight where he finds Troutman's there. And Troutman wants Rambo to go with him to Afghanistan because the U.S. is giving the Afghan people firearms so they can fight the rush off the Soviet invasion. Rambo says no, and Troutman ends up going by himself, and he's captured by the Soviets, a particularly nasty colonel who wants nothing but to leave Afghanistan. If that means brutalizing the people, he's going to do it. So Rambo has a change of heart, and he goes into Afghanistan and tries to figure out what his destiny is. Now, what'd you all think of this book?
Adam, man with beard.
Thank you, Matthew, man with beard. Well, I enjoyed the book, but this was it was interesting because this is actually my very first experience with anything Rambo ever.
I mean, honestly, you got 3 Rambo books by David Morrell, and they're all fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I own First Blood Part 2, but I wasn't able
part of
to be
that
on
discussion.
Yeah, I wasn't able to be on that, so I didn't get a chance to read it. But I was honestly expecting to be completely lost. But I mean, this book, the audiobook at least, has like this introduction where it kind of briefly touches on certain aspects of some of the other stories, so that helped a little. But I was able to keep up with it pretty fine, and I thought it was well written. And but it was just like, from what I've read, the book is actually significantly different than the movie. So I
Yes.
didn't research the movie at all. Like, so I just stuck with the book, and on its own, it was a very good book. I enjoyed it, and kind of like what you said, Jeremy, we get a lot of like, it's very educational a way, because it talks
Yes.
about like there's like a segment where it talks where Rambo wants to learn like how to speak uh
Afghanistan is how he puts it.
Yeah.
yeah, and then the guy's just like, no, there's like 32 different dialects of it, and I was like, oh, I did not know that myself. So yeah, but yeah, it was on a even though I have no experience with anything Rambo, like I've never seen any of the movies, I was able to follow along very good. It was a decent read.
Yeah, I enjoyed this book quite a bit, and like you said at the beginning, there's a cool forward of the audio version, and I thought the book did a really good job in the first few chapters of giving you a brief history of what Rambo has experienced in
Mhm.
his life so far that builds up to where he's at now. And this is one of those books that like really focuses in on the character's feelings. It was just kind of, I would say, unusual for like an action-packed hero type of story. It's like, what is wrong with Rambo in his heart? He doesn't feel right. He's on this search for his like a truth, and he can't find it. He goes from religion to religion to religion, and he's not finding peace. Like he's on this quest to find peace, but he keeps getting sucked back into just war, violence, like just the bloodshed. He can't take it, and he's forced into this situation in this book, Rambo 3, where he gets sucked into Afghanistan to go find his old trainer. I can't remember the exact colonel,
Colonel
right?
Trout. Yeah.
Troutman. He's got to go save the guy that is like a father
Mhm.
figure to him. So, he resists going in the first place to Afghanistan, but then when he finds out about Troutman being taken in, he's like, "Well, I've got to go get him." And I thought the book was excellent, and like you mentioned, educational. I think this author David Morrell is either he really did his research when it
Yeah.
came to the bow and arrow, or it's
Mhm.
like a hobby of his. I mean, he knows like, oh, this is a passion, because he really went into great detail on how that thing worked, how to set it up, and everything. I was like, man, he did some good research, or he just knows what he's talking about.
He talks about it in the audiobook for Rambo First Blood Part 2. He was an English teacher. Rambo
Okay,
is based off the character of Rambo in his novel First Blood. It's based off two of his students that came back from Vietnam.
that's
Yeah,
interesting.
Yeah.
yeah, he read Zen and the Art of Archery because Rambo First Blood Part 2 is a very Zen book. That's the Zen and the teachings of Buddha. That's the big thing in Rambo First Blood Part 2, whereas in 3, it's about Islam and specifically uh, destiny and what Allah wills. There's a great character in this named Musa, who's one of the few
Mhm.
characters in the novel that's in the film. Musa is sort of Rambo's guide and interpreter
Right.
throughout the book, and he's a fun character. I really liked him. He barely has anything to do in Rambo 3, the film, except for shoot people occasionally. Rambo 3 becomes a weird buddy cop thing with Rambo and Troutman near the end, which is not in
Yeah,
this.
it does.
But there's a
Yes.
great character. There's some great characters in this. Some of the Russians are given characters.
Mhm.
There's a Russian officer who he hates the war and he hates that his superior officer is a psychopath and has a child burned with acid.
Melt goes into the child's heart, and he's
Yeah,
just got to
and
live with
he's
that now.
just brutalized Troutman. They won't let him sleep. They keep beating him.
Mhm.
Yeah, I remember the interrogation scene, and like I don't want to like get like an explicit tag here, but they said that, like, they said like, you'll feel like you'll be in and then they said like some guy comes in there and just like punches him, steps on his face, and then steps on his crotch, and then he's just like he felt the pain, and Troutman did acknowledge he was, and
Yeah.
I like that we have another. It was so easy for David Morrell to go down the same route as that psychopath officer in Rambo First Blood Part 2 that had like a sort of weird sexual thing with torturing Rambo. And I'm glad that we didn't have that in this, because that was a little too much. If I had one complaint about First Blood Part 2, it's just that's so weird. I mean, if IGN brings that up in like top 10 like novelizations that bring up that thing, like that
was very awkward.
Yeah, there's nothing like the slime pit though from Rambo First Blood Part 2. That's like the gnarliest thing I think I've read in a David Morrell book.
Graphic stuff, yeah.
Oh.
I was gonna say two things. One, I was not expecting some parts of this book, like mentioned how Rambo was like on a quest to find inner peace and everything, and I was just like, all that they normally show you, like when it comes to like previews on TV with anything Rambo, is all the action scenes where Sylvester's, and so you get this sense that like he's this big mercenary warrior soldier type, and like and then in this book I was like this guy's actually very humble,
because
he's emotional.
Yeah,
that's how Morrell wrote him, and that was his big thing when he went on he joined for First Blood Part 2, is he wanted to bring his novel of First Blood and that characterization into it, because there is a point. Rambo First Blood Part 2 and Rambo 3 in particular are action movies. They're 80s action slog.
I was also going to say that I'm going to go ahead and say that reading this, well, I listened to the audiobook, and I'm going to call it the Dragon Slayer vibe, in that I felt like this could have been a book before a movie.
Oh yeah,
right.
I
think a lot of that plays in because the book came first, and then Rambo, Part 2, First Blood. It's a very confusing situation with the book, because I remember even in the foreword with the audio book, he mentioned that Max Allan Collins they were having a conversation, and he's like, "But I killed Rambo in my first book." He said, "Well, in the second book, say that was he died in the book, and the movie kept him alive, so that's what it is." So it's just he did that workaround, but I think that you get that feeling because he did have such a good grasp of who Rambo was originally, that he just fed it into his novelizations.
It's interesting. It's an interesting thing. There's some very forward-thinking things that, of course, would have never been put in the film. Like, there's a strong female character who's this Dutch doctor that's helping the Afghan people, and she's like strong and stuff, and that comes from his Central America script, where that was Troutman's wife. And there was a scene in that where she and Rambo had like AK-47s. They were fighting off rebels like together, and they said, "No, we can't have a woman do that."
Yeah, that was before Alien. Yeah, before Alien and
right before, because this was 86. This was 86. It was before Aliens came out.
It's crazy because, like, you think about it, David Morrell got kind of gypped on that, because that's one of those things that's like, oh yeah, director of Terminator, or not Terminator, I guess Terminator as well, because of Sarah Connor.
Cameron.
I mean, they get James Cameron. Yeah, he gets the credit for that when David Morrell wanted to do that first. Bring in that powerful.
Another connection to that: James Cameron helped Stallone write the script for Rambo First Blood Part 2.
Okay.
There's so many connections here of what could have been, but instead we get like the most simplified plot for this film, where Rambo tries to rescue the colonel but fails, so he just climbs up a mountain and does it again. That's the film of Rambo 3, and we don't get that in this.
And it's funny because he is tortured in the film, Troutman is, and then he's able to make this long trek back and fight the whole army of the Russian army with Rambo. But in the book, he's tortured, and he's down for the rest of the book. He's being pulled on a little gurney thing, on a horse. That thing gets, it takes off, and Rambo has to go find him again, like face down in the sand or snow, up in the mountains. It's crazy. And something that I really thought was a cool thing with the book and the movie, the subtle differences with the introduction, the fight scenes in the beginning when he's in Thailand and he goes to the fighting ring and he fights this guy, and the fight gets so intense in the film, and at the end it's like you could see it in both of the eyes, Rambo and the other guy, like they want to kill each other, like they both have that history of war, and then they like it just they realize, oh wait, we're not at war anymore. We got to calm down a little bit.
Yeah.
And so with that, I thought Sylvester Stallone did an excellent job playing Rambo. Like I watched the film before I got into the book, and there are a lot of differences, but there are a lot of elements that I feel were kept in there. And I feel that Sylvester Stallone really did understand the Rambo character and did an excellent job bringing that to the screen. Because I felt the whole time like, man, he's broken. And in the book, when you read it, it's like, wow, Sylvester Stallone nailed that.
Stallone nails it more in the fourth and fifth film, because at the time, they talk about this a little bit in the audiobook, that movie novelizations aren't really a thing, especially in 2008.
Yeah.
They weren't a thing. So Rambo 4 never got one, but Stallone called David Morrell to say, I'm taking a lot of elements from First Blood and I'm putting him in my film. And you can also see it in Rambo 5, where it's Rambo hates what he is. And that's a big thing in 3. Like, he goes to that stick fight to be beaten. He wants to be punished for what he hates, what he is. And that's an interesting thing with a theme throughout, is him coming to terms with what he is and what he's good at.
Yeah. And even at the end, he has that challenge of like, I don't know what I'm going to do in my life, and I guess I'm just supposed to help people, even though I don't want to see the blood. I don't want to get into the fight, but if that's my lot in life, then I guess that's what I'm going to have to do. So I thought this book was excellent.
How about that the sandstorm?
Oh man, that was a brutal scene. He has to climb out, and the horses get buried,
and they get smothered in sand,
which was great, because when he has to go to that camp with the other Afghans, they're like, who are you? What are you doing? And he's like, I'm American. I'm bringing you some extra weapons. And they're like, well, where? Well, that's just talk. Where are these weapons? He's like, they're buried in the sand back there, about 3 miles. It's like, yeah, that just sounds like talk. He's like,
well, they try to tie and quarter him first.
Oh yeah, rip his arms off.
Yeah, and he flexes so hard that the horses get stopped for a second. I love that.
That was the cheesiest part of the book right there.
And it's only for a fleeting moment that we get that. Yeah. But I love that he becomes one with one of the tribe, basically one of the many tribes. He gains their respect. I also love the Russian that basically leads them to the fort. It makes more sense than the Russian doctor thing in the movie. You remember the Russian doctor who's killed 2 seconds after he speaks once?
Yeah, I thought he was going to be like one of the mains, like a backup type thing to Rambo, but it's like, oh, nope, he's gone.
Nope, he's dead. But I love he has a little bit of a character arc, but he's not in there for long, but he's there enough to have a character. There's some fun things. I don't like Rambo has that rifle, and it's like an M16, but it shoots AK rounds.
Yeah.
Why does he not just have an AK-47?
Well, I think his has a grenade launcher on it.
They make AKs with grenade launchers.
Okay.
Actually, it'd be an AK-74 at that point, but still,
he wants to blend in a little bit, halfway.
He wants
at
to
least
use that M16 still.
Yeah. You got to have the American with the American rifle
that shoots a Russian round.
But I like how it gets into that with like, oh, I have to have the specific round, so it confuses everybody else around me. So it
Yeah.
just sounds like another what, seven. What is it? What did he do? He didn't go for the 5 and 7.
No, it's
The rounds.
7.62 by
5.
39.
Okay.
That's an AK. That's what the AKs are chambered in.
That's right.
But I love the creation of his knife in this, where he forges his own knife.
Yeah.
Which
that was
Stallone
really
doesn't
cool.
take for Rambo 4, where he makes that weird machete thing.
Well, it even says like there's notches in that knife that represent like his fallen brothers in battle.
Mm-hmm. And
Which was neat.
just the thought that it represents an Afghan sword in a way, and it has the blood groove in it. So like just all the thoughts are brought in. And then we get like the whole bow, talks about the bow again.
There was one part that I got grossed out with, and I was like, okay, I like almost passed out. Not really, but I felt like passing out. The blood transfusion scene.
Oh yeah, that's a little wonky.
Yeah.
Which was not in the film, thankfully. But when they talk about that stuff, I was like, oh gosh. And like Rambo has to be leveled up some so the blood can, gravity. Ugh.
You don't read the same things I read. Encyclopocalypse gives that's nothing compared to what I've been reading lately.
Yeah.
I did I thought that part was a little out there too. It did feel a little convenient though, because he was just like, oh, we're the same blood type. So I'm just like, oh, okay. I mean, I don't know. I was just like, even if I had a suspicion me and somebody else was like the same blood type, I would still do it, to help a friend. But I'd also have like that thought in the back of my head. This is like, man, I really hope that we are the same blood type. Like I wasn't wrong, because like otherwise, it's just like things aren't going to go very well.
I interpreted it as Rambo got injured in combat one time, and Troutman had to give him a transfusion with his blood.
Yeah, I did like how they kind of upped the stakes of that scene though, because she was just like, well, I don't know which is your blood because you're covered in blood, Because
he killed so many people.
Yeah.
It's a good book. It's a really, really good book.
It is.
I can't stress that enough, that this is just like this is like A-tier novelization.
I was actually curious if there was anybody else on YouTube that reviewed this book, so I typed it in. I found one review. Guess who it was? Jeremy had a review 2 years ago, which, by the way, great review, by the way, Jeremy, on that. I watched it before. Yeah, I was just kind of curious. I was like, oh, someone did review, and I was like, it's Jeremy.
Yeah, all these Rambo books, they were my way of recovering from the campfire. Those were my first reviews, because I had a memory card with stuff from the previous house. Not to get into the weeds here, but like I ran out of those reviews and I had to start filming again. And I filmed a ton of reviews, but most of them were crap. But those ones turned out pretty decent, and so I put them up with my terrible thumbnails. But I had to make them quick. Oh we do have
the book has art. There's a picture of the knife that was used is printed in the book,
and that's also the knife in the film.
Yep, and they also put a picture in there of the bow.
Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting.
There is one slight weird negative I have about this book.
Okay.
The chapters are very awkward.
That's David Morrell's style.
Yeah, it was just like I'd be when I first when I was listening to this on Audible, like I looked to see how many chapters there were, and like on Audible it says there's like 90 something. I'm just like, what? But then I saw that like, oh well, each of these chapters is like maybe like at the most 3 to 5 minutes, and then but sometimes these chapters would be like just like they would ask a random question like, well, what do we do? Like he's like, what do you think we should do? Chapter 7. I'm like, it's just like, I was like, well, wait, I want to know what happened, But
I will say Stephen King in the second Dark Tower book does that, where he's going from one perspective to another, and then like he has like a plane landing, and there's the general like scenery has its own chapters, and there's like switch between two perspectives, and then what's going on, two perspectives, and then one chapter is the plane landed. Next chapter.
Yeah, I
So,
remember when we read Gremlins, they had that chapter. Just like
oh
Billy,
yeah,
yeah, they're just like, don't forget to do this. Don't worry, I won't forget. Chapter 9, he forgot.
Yeah, that was a good one.
That was it. Yeah.
that's the best part of that book. It just
um,
made me laugh.
yeah, that's like the only negative I can think of. It's just like I felt like the chapters were a little bit like it would get like it would like build chapter 3, build chapter 4, before and like I mean that's and in a way that's not all bad 'cause, it's like it's upping the stakes and everything. It's just like sometimes like it felt like they were cutting the chapters like I said during a conversation.
Mhm.
And it was just a little awkward at times, but like for the most part it was fine. But
I think it's part of this genre. We don't read like us with our YouTube channels. We don't really read this type of thing often.
Hmm.
That's one of the reasons I wanted the last one last season. I thought it'd be a nice change of pace.
Yeah.
Uh,
I will say I thought it was kind of fun timing. Like I went to the bookstore the other day, and there's a bookstore in the city that actually does have a movie tie-in series, and I
Mhm.
actually did find Rambo 3 there, and I was like, oh, that's funny. I already have that book though. Then I was like, oh wait, no, I don't. I have First Blood Part 2. Um, so I had to call like, put that book on hold. I need it.
There you go. It's a pretty good shaped copy.
Yeah, it was only $2, so I'm happy with it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
these are I got in a bidding war with someone over getting a signed hardcover of this, but lost.
Ooh,
But
That would
oh,
have been awesome.
it was getting into the $300 range, so like, uh, I don't tend to spend stuff like that, but like it was signed by David Morrell. But it didn't have a lot to I would have had to try to verify the signature and stuff, so I'm kind of glad.
Yeah.
This I got in a lot with a bunch of books, including Rambo First Blood Part 2. It was like a lot of 20 novelizations.
yeah. I got Rambo First Blood Part 2 actually from Kane. Shout out to him. Thanks so
Yes.
much for he found this copy and he says like, hey, I have a spare copy. Do you want this? And he sold it to me and for a really good price. I'm just like, oh well, hey, cool.
When
Like,
Adam can't find something, Kane finds it. These
yeah,
2
like
have the
Yeah.
craziest luck in finding novelizations.
Yeah.
yeah. I found like 2 copies recently of it was a Batman Mask of the Phantasm, but like for some reason, like finding Rambo books, like this is the only one that I could ever find out in the wild. So
Yeah, you'll find a lot of copies of First Blood because that stays in physical print. The movie
mhm.
novelizations don't, which is a shame. It was an
Yeah.
anniversary thing why they did the audiobook and the Kindle edition. I think they did them at the same time. Which those have the blandest, weirdest covers.
They do. It does not match at all. But what's cool about it is I wish they would do that with more novelizations because it's like the author or the, publisher, whoever could add in some updated notes like what Rambo 3 did, talking a little bit about the history, how the novelization was made,
Mhm.
changes to the film. All that stuff was very interesting to get into with Rambo 3. It would be really cool if they did that more often. Like, oh, let's reprint, an anniversary edition. Like with Ghostbusters, where they did the reprint for 1 and 2. Why
Kind of
couldn't they
like
just throw in some notes?
Cycle Apocalypse, I will rep them because they've done me really good. They do stuff like that, and they even update the covers on the books that they get, whether it's movie
Yeah.
novelizations or just out of print novelizations. I know that I interviewed Christian Francis, one of the authors, and he's big in the company, and he does some of the graphic design for the covers, and he's redone several covers. The
I was
modern
gonna say, I kind of like though, Matthew, like you had like have like more notes about the production of the novelization, everything like that. Like it's kind of cool. It's like the novelization, uh, compared to a DVD, it's like getting its own deleted scenes,
Yeah. The
or
author's commentary.
yeah, the commentary or behind the scenes. There we go, behind the
Yeah.
scenes. Um, uh, yeah, that'd be we need more of
Be
those.
good. Maybe we could get some authors on here to talk about some of those novelizations. It'd be a cool thing to do, but not making promises on that.
We'll see. We'll see.
So, you guys have anything else that you want to say about Rambo 3, the novelization?
Yeah. I'll say a little bit more. I know I've been pretty dominant this episode, but this was my third time reading this book, and I don't read a lot of things 3 times. But this book is like an old friend. Like, you haven't talked to them since high school, and then you start talking to them again, and you're like, it's like nothing passed. Like, nothing's happened since the last time you saw them. It's just a real good one. Just really worth your time.
Yeah, I'd recommend this book for people to pick up and read, even if you haven't seen any other Rambo, haven't watched any of it.
Yeah,
read any of it. I mean, because the introduction, not the introduction, but the first few chapters, that pretty much got you caught up, right? You felt pretty confident, like, moving forward after those chapters, right?
I never
had a rough time.
I never felt lost. That's the thing. It's just like like I said, they briefly cover things, and I felt like that was fine. I mean, would it have helped if I read the other stuff or watched it? Of course, yeah. But it felt like it spark notes that the other two in a way, but and like I was fine from that. But I do, I would recommend reading the other novelizations, but yeah, just from someone with no experience with Rambo whatsoever, it was very easy. It was a very easy and read and easy to follow along to.
Good. Let me go ahead. Who wants to give a rating, or did you just want to say something else, Jeremy?
This is becoming a book. I will say that I like this and First Blood Part 2 and First Blood. They are becoming a book I read once a year now.
That's good. I would like to read Dragon Slayer again, because I love that film, and that's a good novelization.
That was a great novelization. Go check out episode 2 of Paper Movies, where we talked about Dragon Slayer.
Yeah, that's a fun episode. It's long.
Was
it? Was fun.
Yeah,
I think so.
It was. That's what I recall.
I think the only novelization I've read twice is probably the Batman novelization, but that's one I'd read again though. So,
Adam, what you rank this?
I would rank this. I think for when it comes to novelizations, I'm going to go back to like on a scale of 5. So I'd rank this 4 out of 5.
Okay, Matthew.
Yeah, I give it a. You know what? I'll give it a 4.5 out of 5.
Okay. I give it a 5 out of 5.
And I give it, it's good. I think some of the ending, it could have been better in the ending, to be honest, for me. That's what held me back some.
I think that they were planning to do a 4th one. In fact, in the 90s, they talked about the Weinsteins wanted to do one. And they called David Morrell into their office, which is weird to hear about the Weinsteins after these days. And they didn't get Rambo. They thought he was a mercenary. And David Morrell's like, oh, no, he's not. And then nothing happened until Stallone directed the 4th one in 2008.
I like how we moved from the bottom up, like in both, 4 out of 5, 4.5 out of 5, 5 out of 5.
Yeah, I love this book. I really do. I really, really love this book. It's well worth your time to check out.
And is it all right to go ahead and mention the epic fun we'll have next month?
Dude, yeah.
We're going, if you've watched the promo or announcement video, we're going to be reviewing a very interesting story, and where apparently sharks have vendettas and can roar like lions and explode after just being impaled by a stick.
All facts.
Yep. Jaws the Revenge. We are, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to get a bunch of I hate you texts from these two, but But yeah, we're going to be reviewing Jaws: The Revenge, the fourth and unfortunately final installment to the Jaws franchise. But well,
Unless you're talking Cruel Jaws, the greatest Jaws film.
yeah, which does have a novelization too. That's just it's hard to get.
You own it?
No, I almost bought it
Shocked.
though. I almost bought it though.
I kind of remember this, I think.
I almost bought it, but then they they I think I can only buy it from the website that owned the rights to the film, and then it went like it was unavailable for a while. But anyway, yep. So we're reviewing Jaws: The Revenge, and a story where they kind of try to explain why a shark has a vendetta, but we'll get into that later. So it'll be fun.
Read that.
Say what?
I said I'd rather have hemorrhoids than read this.
Oh gosh.
You're welcome. Welcome back. Season, I don't know what we're on of Paper Movies. You're welcome.
3 or
it
2?
Doesn't matter.
What did we call
We're
it?
back.
We don't know.
That's what
We're back for this season of Paper Movies. It's a shorter season, keeping mixing things up, doing things a little bit easier on us. But it's all busy from this point on now. So
Yeah, I mean, this is technically one of my unless this is one of my return to YouTube. I mean, I came back like a few days ago, but like I really took a hiatus. Like we all took a break, but like I really took a hiatus. We had another baby, and so I couldn't like do anything YouTube wise for like a couple of months. So
yep.
And hence the beard,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, if you guys are watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button and share the channel with your friends that like to read books and watch movies.
Hey, if they don't want to watch us, they can
That
listen
helps.
to us.
That's
on
true.
Podcasts. Yes.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
We will have
podcast, Spotify, Amazon Audible,
Yeah.
Google Play Music. Find us wherever there's podcasts.
Yeah. And it's not really called the Men with Beards podcast.
Yeah.
As mentioned in the introduction, that was fake news.
I'm sorry.
Disinformation.
Jeremy, you were being so sensual with it. Like you could find us on Spotify or Google and Anchor. I'm just like
I just ooze sexuality. What can I say? Big guns now. I'm just the sex appeal of this podcast. Put that on a t-shirt. I dare you. We'll mail it to Ryan Kennel so he can wear it in the gym. You're welcome.
Oh my God.
With that, thanks for tuning in, watching, listening, whatever it is that you're doing. Jeremy, where can people find you? Where else other than Paper Movies?
You can find me at Stupid Chainsaw Productions. I'll be doing a couple author interviews coming up for Encyclopocalypse.
That is awesome. They're focused on horror novels.
Yeah, some of it's movie novelizations, so you might want to stay tuned.
Yeah. Check that out, guys. Adam, what about you? Where can people find you?
Well, you can find me at Red 5 Reviews. I've been reviewing Star Wars content. I recently did a review for Kenobi in honor of the show coming out soon. Also, you can find me at Bryant VRM. I haven't actually posted anything here yet. I'm actually starting that channel back up in June with, funny enough, a ranking of all the Jaws films.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting. Not surprising to some people, but it'll be interesting. But that's where you can find me.
Okay. I'm over there at the Geeks Attic and Tuscan Reader, which is where just Star Wars material. The Geeks Attic is just whatever I want to do. That's all. That's it. That's the end of the show. Goodbye, everybody.